welcome to Texas Market Real Estate News. I'm Kathy Carter, broker and founder of Carter Signature Properties. Today we're going to be talking about the Texas Gulf Coast. Everything from Galveston to Surfside, from Port Aransas to Corpus Christi. We'll be looking at what drove the housing boom there on the Gulf Coast during the pandemic, and also what's attributing to the slowdown and opportunities for buyers and sellers in this market. The Texas Gulf Coast experienced really a huge boom during the pandemic due to a couple of reasons. Number one, of course, as we're all rooting for, is the interest rates. Just so you know, I don't think they're going to come back down to those levels in probably my lifetime. The other thing that helped was that pricing. The housing prices on the Gulf Coast as a whole was lower. And then also remote work, because people could choose to work wherever they wanted to. And so they would choose, let's buy a house down at the beach, live our best life, and work from the beach. And so that was a lot of the items. And then the other one was we had a lot of investors looking for short-term rentals on the Texas Gulf Coast, because that's the main driver for most communities on the Gulf Coast, is that income from short-term rentals. And so all those items is what drove up the prices of the homes down on the Texas Gulf Coast. And then we kind of lead into the next one, where what caused the slowdown, right? And so some of the slowdown items is actually what attributed to the housing boom on the Texas Gulf Coast. Interest rates. So one of the slowdowns was the huge increase in interest rates. So, for example, whenever somebody buys a second home, say as a short-term rental or an investment property, they pay 1 to 2% more than what your standard interest rates are. That's just how it goes when you're buying an investment property. So once interest rates hit 7-8%, when somebody's going to buy a second home, they're looking at 9-10%, which that's a big number. Also, with the housing boom during the pandemic, it elevated prices. So it's hard to find short-term rentals. Number one, you're paying more money. And number two, with the elevated prices, your insurance then costs more. And it also requires a lot more for a down payment for a second home. And then also the interest rates cause you a little bit more, and the inflation and the pricing really cost too much sometimes, and took a lot of smaller buyers that wouldn't have been able to afford a beach house out of the market. Okay? Then also with inflation. As inflation occurs, it takes away disposable income. With this huge inflation numbers we've been running the last 3 to 4 years, it's really taken money out of people's pockets. And so people really can't afford to get a second home comfortably and not worry about it. Because, before you could go, buy a lamp. You could find one sometimes for $19.99, and now you can't find a lamp for under $40-50. And it's just a little lamp. It doesn't do anything earth-shattering. So, those are some of the things that attributed to really the downturn of the housing market on the Texas Gulf Coast as a whole. Next, we're going to hop into each specific area or region of the Texas Gulf Coast and talk about those specific markets. So the Galveston market, let's talk about the Galveston market. It's having some cooling. The Galveston market has been doing pretty good as far as short-term rental and investment property people are looking to buy, mostly in the East End and the West End, right, for short-term rentals and investment purchases. But the housing there really has increased 11% year over year. And now it has started to cool just probably the second half of 2024. And so the homes are staying on the market a lot longer, between the 80 and 90-day mark. So the homes are really sitting on the market. But Galveston continues to be a very popular destination area because there's so much to do there, right? There's so many activities for family and friends that it's really a strong, viable market there, Galveston is, but it is cooling like everything else is. Surfside Beach is a market in transition. Surfside has really probably seen the largest slowdown on the Texas Gulf Coast, and Surfside when I say Surfside, I don't just mean Surfside Beach. I'm talking like the whole Follets Island area, from Surfside to Treasure Island, including Key Largo, which is in the middle there, and Seahorse Estates and San Luis Beach subdivision, all on Follets Island, is all kind of an area which is in transition. Currently, we've seen homes sit on the market, some for over a year on the average. Average home price has dropped below $300,000 in that area, and we're just not seeing the turn of homes and the viability of that, mostly because I think they're looking for better deals. Buyers are looking for better deals, especially for investment property and short-term rentals, which now you can find on Follets Island. From Treasure Island to Surfside Beach, there are deals ready to be had, especially in the wintertime. So if you're a buyer, Follets Island, even new construction homes there, they're ready to be sold, and it's a great market for you if you're looking for an investment property or if you're looking for your retirement or your next second home. Port Aransas is a vacation hotspot. It is very well known. Port Aransas is for its tourism with investment property. It has everything from high-end beach homes to the smaller homes, and has a lot of activities for tourists, and its primary driver is short-term rentals. So it's a very popular area, and it is really stabilizing there. It's probably the second most stabilized Gulf Coast area. The good news is that it does have quite a viable real estate market. There are homes are being sold. The challenge really is the insurance. So as insurance costs and as prices continue to go up, insurance is really becoming a challenge for buyers and sellers. If you are looking to buy on the Gulf Coast, you need help for an insurance referral for somebody who knows the market and knows how to write on the Texas Gulf Coast. Just DM me and I'll send you an insurance agent's name who can help you. But really, Port Aransas is a great market and has continued to trend upwards. Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi has always been known for stability and affordability. Of all the markets on the Texas Gulf Coast, Corpus Christi has remained the most stable and probably the most affordable. With prices remaining reasonable for first-time home buyers and retirees, it's really been a nice and stable market with the port of Corpus Christi and the Naval Air Station there bringing economic growth and so forth to the community. It has really been one of the most stable markets there is. The challenge is now it's also started to see a slowdown in 2024 due to the reasons that we've talked about, the interest rates, inflation, so many other things. Really, resort properties are not something you take lightly because they're second homes, they're additional costs, the insurance is higher, the taxes are higher. So really in this market with inflation and interest rates, it really has had an impact on the Texas Gulf Coast as a whole, which is a great opportunity for buyers, sellers who've had their properties for, 4 or 5 years or longer. There's still an opportunity to make money when selling. So only those really who purchased in the pandemic right now have kind of seen probably some loss in equity, but all others are still trending upwards and probably will over time. We just have to get through this last little period here, and hopefully things will turn it around fairly quickly. There are plenty of opportunities to be had on the Texas Gulf Coast for buyers and sellers. For buyers, this is probably the perfect time to buy that's been in years due to pricing and homes ready to sell. It's a great opportunity if you're looking to invest in the Texas Gulf Coast and get your next short-term rental. Now's the perfect time to buy it. For sellers need to be aware that now they have to really be on point, right? And what I mean by that is when you list your home and an agent meets with you or you look at the numbers and everybody else is selling for $450, you need to be selling for $450 also, not $459, not $469, Lord knows not $499. But you need to price it right at market, and the home needs to be staged and ready to go. If you have improvements that need to be happen and you don't have time to do that, you really need to reduce your price. And also always highlight the views. So if you're working with an agent that's not used to selling Gulf Coast properties, the Gulf Coast, the way you sell properties there is it's a lifestyle. You don't necessarily talk about the home, right? You talk about the home's views. You talk about going to the beach. You talk about how close it is. You talk about seeing the sunsets. Because really when people buy a home on the Texas Gulf Coast or a property, they buy it for the beach, right? So you always think about why is your consumer buying that property? And that's what your agent really needs to focus on, is the lifestyle that comes with that property. The Texas Gulf Coast continues to be a resilient and will always be a strong market. We're just doing a little rebound there after the pandemic slowed down, but it'll always continue to be a desirable market. Everybody wants to live at the beach. Everybody's always dreamed about retiring at the beach. And having a rental, a lot of people want to go stay at the beach. So the Gulf Coast market, while it's a prime time for buyers right now, it will always be a resilient market and will always continue. People love to see the waves rolling in. Thank you for joining me today with the Texas Real Estate Gulf Coast Market. If you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere from Galveston to Aransas, from Surfside, Full Island to Corpus Christi, just contact me. I'd be happy to help. My name is Kathy Carter, and we're at CarterSignatureProperties.com. Once you go there, just select podcast and reach out to me, and happy to help. Y'all make it a great day, and thanks for joining. See you next time.